What makes a good hero in Overwatch? To me, part of it is how enjoyable they are to play as and against. If a hero is both tolerable and fun to play, I don't think there's any reason to call that hero bad. When it comes to Wuyang, this hero without question has one of the most interesting and fun kits to use. At least that's my fresh opinion after playing him. Wuyang doesn't just copy what works in other heroes, but also an entire category of firing type in the game. Wuyang's left click is single-handedly the most unique ability we have gotten in Overwatch 2. There's nothing that comes even close to as dynamic and out there as this. And that's one of the reasons I think Wuyang is going to dominate a specific portion of the player base. After playing Wuyang, there's literally no other hero that feels the same to play, and I find that amazing. When it comes to new hero releases, there has been a lot of overlap in mechanics and overall feel. Not that that's a bad thing, I find someone like Juno really good for the game and wouldn't mind seeing more heroes like her. But whenever we get something like a new firing type to the game, it just feels that much more layered and inviting. For the longest time, Overwatch heroes that have been released have felt quite bland and safe. You could say about a lot of heroes that they just feel like another hero but different version. I could be wrong here, but that just isn't true with Wuyang. The difference of impact is night and day to me, and that's why I think Wuyang is objectively the best hero release if we leave my personal preferences aside. At least, that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm not trying to say that other heroes are bad, though some of them are. The thing I'm trying to get across here is that these unique mechanics are what makes Overwatch interesting. So after so long, finally seeing something that just blows my mind is really nice. Doesn't mean that every hero needs to add an entire new mechanic or be as unique as Wuyang, but I have to say it does add more punch to the hero in my opinion. We can also talk about potential gameplay or potential in gameplay. I guess it's the skill ceiling or floor or something like that. With Wuyang, there is so much potential for different cool things to happen during the game. Potential to hit unbelievable shots or pair his ultimate with many different things. The amount of times I try really hard to get a kill across 50 meters behind a wall and actually succeed is amazing. That feeling is so good, especially when it was intended. Sometimes heroes like Hanzo or Junkrat just spam randomly and get kills. I feel like Wuyang doesn't really do that so often. During my play hours, I have not received that at all myself and rarely get kills out of nowhere. There is only one time I recall using his perk that bounces the wave back doing half damage, and that got a random kill. Gotta be honest, I didn't mean to do that, but it felt good. We're gonna have to see later when he actually launches whether our perception of him changes over time to something people don't like to face, but at the moment, I'm having a big blast playing him, and don't mind going against him either. Next I want to talk just a little bit about his visual design. The model and art. There's been a lot of people noticing his 2D render looking weird, especially next to all the other heroes. You can see that the art is a little bit different in a way. As an artist, to me, it looks like his coloring for some reason is a lot more vibrant and saturated. He looks a lot more colorful than he actually is in game, and for that matter what he looks like in the character sheets. He currently also has a lot thicker black outlines, and it makes it look a lot more like a stylized drawing than what the other heroes look. Much more color and pop. I don't necessarily think it looks bad, it just clashes with the other ones. Also, this very well could just be a placeholder for his actual release, and then he will look more aligned with the others. Or there might be another reason. There is something I've noticed and I don't know if it's related to this in any way. Could they be planning a style switch among the hero profiles? Because some of them have rough and ugly edges. You can see this especially well in Cassidy's 2D render. Holy shit, look at those pixels. In all seriousness, probably not, but I do feel like they should fix this. I don't like looking at them. Next I want to quickly mention the 3D profile. This might sound a little mean, but this just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. He doesn't even look like he does in game here. So what's up with that? His face looks a lot wider than it normally does, and most detrimental, it doesn't have almost any shading or shadows. Compare this to Kiriko's profile, you can see a lot more contrast from light to dark and clear shadows that give room for the light. But Wuyang just looks like he's 10 meters away from the sun and is struggling to keep his face from melting. Not even as in it looks bad, he just doesn't look like himself here. I mean, it's not that big of an issue, but it would just be better to redo it in my humble opinion. One big thing I love about this hero is his audio design. All the sounds and water splashes and movement just for some reason sound exactly what they're supposed to. His staff moving has a specific sound too. You can hear it very clearly in the hero selection and default highlight intro. When you start playing him and just tap the gun, it makes kinda like a pipe sound if you were to shoot something through it. And it just sounds good. Also, the water splashes literally just sound like water balloons making impact and exploding. It's not anything crazy, but it fits really well. All of the sounds from controlling your water ball to surfing around, but most importantly, activating your E makes one of the top 5 sounds ever, and it feels amazing. And last about art, his visual design. Recently, there has been drama over the oddball heroes getting less and less frequent like Ball, Winston, Orisa, and more favored to relatable and attractive heroes like Wuyang, Juno, and Kiriko. It was overstated in the article, but the point still is there, and I want to talk about it. Is it good to start making more attractive heroes like Wuyang, and is Wuyang a good design? I personally don't see anything wrong in his design, and yeah, he is very normal. That to me is a little boring. I usually like when characters have something unusual about them, like a scar and the story behind that scar, for example, or like a weird personal item like special glasses, a watch, scarf, basically anything. Maybe a unique condition or tendencies, just to make the story a little bit more spicy. Wuyang has just some random stuff that isn't really explored in any way. He's just like the most normal Asian dude ever. And also his gadgets aren't explored in any way. Did he make it himself? Is it a public product that people can buy? We don't know. Wuyang is a very simple character with nothing too crazy going on, and that's okay, but could be considered plain or boring. To me, these roundabout heroes that have quote-unquote safe design are more boring, but not necessarily bad. I just enjoy the design a lot less. And it's sad seeing some of the quirkiness be toned down. Like for example, his 2D render had this distinct energetic and sunny smile, and overall his face was so expressive and fun, inviting and positive. In game, he does look a lot more toned down from that. He isn't like a rock, but not this either. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but the face is very generic and not that expressive. I'm not sure why, maybe the eyes just don't move enough and the mouth is doing all the work. Comparing him to Tracer, I just get more life from that face. I don't know, maybe I'm just insane. Other than that, I think his costume design and hair look really good. Definitely has a unique feeling that gives the hero identity. Very good job there. Overall art is good as per usual from the Overwatch team, not my personal favorite, but not even close to the bottom either. Let's talk a little bit about his gameplay, and more specifically how strong he is. It's kinda hard to estimate on quick play games only, and we're gonna have to see what he looks like in Season 18 when he launches. To me at first he felt kinda weak, bubbles up close do little to no damage at all, and I thought his primary fire would be very hard to hit on a moving target. In practice range he didn't seem good at all to me. In game at first he felt again weak, but as I played more and more, I think he might be stronger than what I expected. When you start cycling your cooldowns and hitting your shots, you can get a lot of value from this hero. Maybe it's the quick play lobbies and people don't know what they do there, who knows, but at least it feels like I'm doing things in these games. Things that could very well be the reason we won the game. There were a lot of times I was the reason someone died by hitting my shots. The primary fire does a lot more damage than people expect. You can also combo it with your wave so that if a Genji dives you, just hitting one shot and using his wave already gets rid of most of his health. And in close range, comboing your weaker bubbles with some melees can lead to pesky divers turned into dead rotting corpses. But there also are big weaknesses, like high ground isn't something easily accessible to you, and wasting both of your cooldowns might lead to you getting overwhelmed and killed because without them you're extremely vulnerable. So you need to secure enough distance with your mobility to get back to it before going in again. Once you use it, it's very hard to catch you. This mobility in my experience has been very good, especially in maps that have a lot of room and distance you can put between yourself and enemies. Also, one thing I noticed, if you want to use this dash, it is a lot better to choose one direction without chasing it too much. If you wiggle around a lot, you lose all of your momentum. It's also really hard to go the opposite direction, so usually if you want to move back, it might just be better to cancel the whole ability at that point. If we talk about potential buffs or nerfs, I don't think we need to do anything yet, or for the launch. I think Wuyang is at a good place for now, and doesn't seem to be underwhelming at all. Maybe I'm wrong, and when we start going into competitive, it's a whole different thing, then sure. But right now, I don't want another Freya incident. To be fair, I don't think that would happen since Freya's issues come from her design. Other heroes have mobility, but Freya has mobility and a kilogram of crack on top of that. It's to say the least difficult to hit her in the air when she has dashes. I don't know if Wuyang has those kind of issues. Doesn't seem like that at the moment. Only thing that definitely needs changing is his first minor perk. Balance is just a better option always, and that makes it feel very boring. I feel like just making the benefits a little bigger number would make it a lot harder to choose between these perks. Major perks seem to me much better. I see a lot of people using both of them, and I like using both too. And as long as perks go, both are really good and engaging and change the gameplay a lot. Nothing wrong with them in my opinion. Outside of Wuyang's primary fire, I think he's going to end up as a hero that people min-max the shit out of. None of his abilities require mechanical skill, again, if we count out the primary. Abilities are easy to use, ultimate is zero mechanics, well kinda, you can combo people with, and that's whatever. That's why you have to utilize all of your abilities the best way possible, lining up your waves to hit as many people as possible, making sure you use abilities at the right time, and getting maximum value out of your passive and active healing without letting the resource leak too much. The thing is, the primary fire requires so much thinking and focusing that you don't leave time for a lot else. Sure, it becomes easier in time, but hitting a moving target is never easy work, especially when you now have depth to consider, more than in any other projectile. But let's also not forget that he can do splash damage as well, which does a decent amount of damage. Combining that with the large projectile styles, his orbs. I am listing reasons why this primary should be easy to use, but in-game it's not. Trying to get consistent damage can be hard on some maps, and in some matchups. Someone like D.Va or Rain can easily just block all of your primaries, especially when you fire them individually only so often. That's why learning habits like training your mind to automatically know where to spam these orbs is going to be important to learn as time goes on, to keep your damage and ultimate rate consistent. There has been a lot of talk about the balance and speculation about buffing and nerfing. Most of all, his healing has been considered pretty weak, and yeah, it's nothing to keep you alive for a long fight. The thing is, can you justify more healing when he does have pretty good damage potential? I personally wouldn't be against buffing his passive healing to something like 40 to 45 per second, but also I don't think he necessarily needs a buff right now. I would like to see how he fits in the cast in a few weeks' time. If they are considering buffs, I wouldn't do anything big. It would be a total letdown if he immediately was considered overpowered and rendered not playable at all in competitive because permabanning, just like what happened to Freya. Even when Freya was in her launch strength, people just didn't realize her power yet and called her a throw pick. I can with my personal experience say that new heroes will get stronger in the meta, if they are left in there for a time. All I want to say is that let's not do anything extreme. If we want to buff, please let it be something small. Of course, it's hard to estimate how it will feel in an actual competitive setting, in turn making it hard to pick the right buffs and nerfs. That's why I think they should hold it. Maybe just buff the worst minor perk. Right now, all we can do is play custom games and quick play, and those fields aren't usually very stable when it comes to balanced and hard-trying teams, but I have to say my time with Wuyang has been pretty good, and my stats speak for themselves. So either I am a monster at this hero, or he is actually pretty good. And speaking of my time playing, what has it been like? In my games, how has it felt playing Wuyang? It's hard to say one thing because games in quick play vary so much, one game easy and other one hard. When the teams are fairly balanced, the games felt really good. I feel like I have a lot of choices and impact over the game. There was this one game where Winston was jumping all over me and my team's Lifeweaver, and we created this beautiful synergy between healing each other and getting away from the Winston. I had to save my mobility for Winston and save my healing for Lifeweaver if he found himself in a pickle. In matches like these where I have to make decisions to win the game, the hero feels amazing, where the enemy had a feral dog of a tracer running around behind us making everyone grow ice in their backs. In that game, I realized that I can reach my primaries in such a long distance that the tracer had no room to close in. Every time I saw her location, I would just spam the water orbs, and even one hit of splash damage does about 50 to 60 damage, I'm not sure, forcing the tracer to take at least 6 seconds to start regenerating. So realizing that made the tracer borderline useless. On top of that, there was also a Genji trying to dive in, so trying to keep both of these flankers at bay was honestly really fun and rewarding. Granted that these aren't comp lobbies and their skill could be argued to not be very high, but I don't think that takes away the possible gameplay potential this hero has. There just isn't anything like this. Being able to chase people down with these orbs is opening something new in the game that brings even more complexity to matchups and moment-to-moment gameplay. One thing that I haven't really experienced yet has been his ultimate. I have used it multiple times, but more specifically combos like Genji Blade or Reaper haven't happened to me yet. Honestly, I think his ultimate isn't as interesting as the base kits. Maybe it's because I haven't seen the potential bloom fully, and seeing that could open up an entire new thing to chase with this hero. Maybe you would need a duo to explore his ult better, I don't know. All I know for sure is that when he launches in Season 18, I can play him in comp and it's gonna be good. When we are finally able to get serious about this hero and find the best ways to use him in competitive and serious environments, it's going to be so much more fun than just horsing around in quick play, trying to steal the hero before the other support does. I would love to also try him in 6v6, but the difficulty to secure him in that mode is multiplied by 3, so I haven't been able to do that yet. And since I mentioned 6v6, I'm just gonna use this opportunity and say it now. They need to get rid of the 6v6 specific cooldowns for tanks. I think the HP changes are good enough. Messing with cooldowns just make the tanks feel clunky and weird. They seriously need to find another fix for that. But anyway, in 6v6 I'm not sure how Wuyang would work. Would it be worse? Fuck. Would it be worse or better when we look at 6v6 and 5v5? His primary fire does need space to function, and 2 tanks could be very damaging for him. Also, his healing output is laughable compared to other heroes, but at the same time, the wave will catch more people for its AoE, so that balances out a little bit. I'm really interested and would already have done that if there weren't so many people wanting to play him, but what can you do? There is also another thing I was kinda thinking. How does Wuyang compare to other heroes in Overwatch 2? Since Overwatch 2 was launched, we have gotten Lifeweaver, Illari, Juno, and finally Wuyang as supports. I will have to say, this is an extremely early statement, seeing as Wuyang has been given only a trial 2 days ago. This whole thing will probably not stay, but regardless, how good of a hero release is Wuyang? I personally think his whole kit idea and design is not only solid, it's great. Unique gameplay that is fun and interactive and rewarding to learn. Sometimes adding new mechanics bring a lot of frustration with it. When playing against Kiriko, it can feel really fucking annoying to see all of your hard work be erased by one ability. Same applies to multiple heroes released in Overwatch 2. With Wuyang, I don't think he currently has that issue. It doesn't feel overwhelming or oppressive to play against Wuyang, and to be honest, not even annoying. I mean, let's say that after people learn how to play him better. But I would say that Wuyang is among the better ones, up there with Juno, and even if I kinda dogged on her, Kiriko was in my opinion very successful addition to Overwatch 2, even though Suzu could be reworked to not have immortality very easily, and that I think would be better for the game, but I digress. The phenomenon I am thinking about here is hype around a hero. Might just be me, but hype around Lifeweaver and Illari just were not that big. I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like Illari and Lifeweaver were heroes that people tried out and stopped playing. There wasn't a hooking experience that draws people to play the hero again and again, or most players at least. But then we take a look at Juno, whose gameplay feels so fluid and round, it feels good to play the hero. And I think that comes from a combination of the kit. Juno has good mobility, which you pair with torpedoes, and by doing that results in an addictive gameplay loop that feels really rewarding. Same with Wuyang, only this time his primary fire alone is enough to get people to come and play the hero again and again. It is simply so unique compared to any other hero in this game. No one shoots even close to what Wuyang shooting looks like, and that keeps people interested. It's something you can practice endlessly, and just using it is fun, just because your brain tries to figure out where to direct the shots, and on top of that, controlling it feels responsive and makes sense. Then obviously you add his wave and mobility and heal to the mix, and suddenly we realize that the whole kit just feels nice to use. Everything flows like water, and the gameplay really works because of that. Wuyang is one of those heroes that I see in the game and just want to play. Sometimes hero releases don't excite me because honestly it doesn't feel like they try to achieve something meaningful. That's an unfair statement, I know. I'm not saying that it's even partially correct, that's just to describe the feeling that I have. For the longest time, new heroes have been, to me, just like another hero to the mix, why not? But with Wuyang, it feels like it's something special. Like they really tried to bring a new experience to the table. It feels like this time they cared a level more about this hero. It feels much more precious. Let's put it this way, if I was to see Hazard, Maga, or Freya get removed from the game, I wouldn't really care, because those don't add anything that feels valuable to the game. Having different flavors of the same candy is nice, but a whole different candy type is so much more rich with psychological impact. And I guess that's a pretty good way to put it. Wuyang brings a whole bunch of fresh air to the game, to me at least, which I have been wanting for such a long time. Finally he is here, at least a trial, and the gameplay is much better than I was expecting. Such amazing work needs applause, and that I will give to the Overwatch team for cooking up this masterpiece of a hero. To summarize, Wuyang is unique, fun, and functions well. This is exactly what the game needs more. We have had our share of heroes that don't come with an impact, but Wuyang to me had that. Finally having a hero that makes you think about the game in an entire new way is fresh, exciting, and promising. I hope we get more unique kits like him in the game. The future of this game is looking more and more positive by the month. Keep going at this direction and the game will just get better and better.